if you constantly worried about what everybody else got to say, if you constantly got your eyes on what everybody else doing, you ain't getting no money. When it comes down to closing a deal, I get it done. Every single one. I'm just going to find you a
Hey, welcome to another episode of Coinology. And I'm sitting here across for none other than Miss Koereyelle. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I have to actually introduce you properly.
Okay.
My soror.
This is me.
Koereyelle.
Yes,
okay. Thank you so much for coming in. I'm so happy to have you here for season 2 of Coinology.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, when we were working on the list, we had a phenomenal first season. And then the team was like, okay, we got to top it.
Yes.
Who can we get? Who do we want? And so I started really thinking and brainstorming and spent hours going through social media, looking, and then your page pop. I was like, yeah, I've been watching this young lady for a long time. I said, this girl is bad. It's bad. So I wanted to have you come in and thank you so much for taking the time out because I know you're very, very busy.
I got a little something going on, but I'm excited.
I know it because you have your own podcast, right?
I do, but I love podcasting, period. Mine being on other people's, so I love it.
How long have you been podcasting?
I started my podcast in 2015.
Okay, so you've been in this thing for a long time.
Before it was the thing to do.
Okay, because you called me an OG when I told you when I pledged. Yes. So you're an OG.
I'm an OG in the podcast.
Yes, you're an OG. So why did you start podcasting?
You know, I actually started out with a blog talk radio show.
Okay.
And then someone invited me to be a guest on their podcast. And I had never even listened to a podcast, was unfamiliar with what podcasts even were. And then I loved it. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. This is like a natural transition from blog talk radio to being able to basically create my own platform. And so I started it as Confessions of a Workaholic to share the untold success secrets of fearless female entrepreneurs. I am well connected with a lot of amazing women. And so the podcast was just my way of being able to use my platform to connect them with my people.
So how has it helped your business?
Oh, tremendously. It's helped my business. My podcast is that thing that when people stop me in the streets and they say, you know, you got me through X, Y, and Z, or you helped me do, it's always the podcast. My podcast or my events, but a lot of the times it's the podcast where they're like, yo, that one episode, you know, really made me feel like I can do this, or I can stop doing this and be able to transition into what I really want to do. So
one of the things that you and I talked about before is that we actually love it. It's therapeutic, right? I actually did not want to start when I started, and now you can't shut me up, right?
Yes.
But you know, the challenge is that everybody's not really doing this thing right. But I don't know that there's a right or wrong way. But what are some of the things that you've noticed in this podcast space that people are kind of messing up on?
Can I be honest?
Be honest, please.
I feel like the fellas, it's the men. I think when I see the posts that are like, yo, throw the podcast equipment away, it's always the men's podcast. And I definitely have a soft. I've been in the women empowerment space for a very long time, so I definitely have a place in my heart for women. But I've been the homegirl my whole life, so I definitely have a lot of male friends too. But sometimes men, they say things and they mean well, but it doesn't always translate. So I think a lot of the barbershop conversations are being had on podcast platforms, and we see just these clips on social media, so we don't see the full conversation. And when you see some of those clips, sometimes it's like, really? And I think that is what sometimes is giving people, a bad taste. Yeah.
Do you think that those conversations relate to maybe the men who connect with that?
Obviously. I mean, people are listening. These clips are going viral, so there's always, as many people are saying throw away the podcast equipment, there's as many equally amount of people that are like, yes, somebody's finally saying it. So that's what I do appreciate about podcasts, though. It's like you can connect with someone. Somebody's going to feel you, and so it a lot of times gives someone who doesn't have a podcast, doesn't have a platform, doesn't necessarily have a voice, someone that they can connect to where they don't feel like, okay, I'm the only one going through this or I'm the only one feeling this way.
Well, I think that the other good thing about the whole space is that anytime you do anything that hasn't been done before, people tend to tell you you're doing it wrong. You shouldn't do it this way. I bet you it goes all the way back. Let's go all the way back, because I'm sure you've probably been hearing that your entire life, right? Because where you are today, I'm sure when you were 15, you didn't expect that to be your end, right?
Yeah.
Well,
15 look different.
Let's talk about who is Koereyelle. Where are you from, Koereyelle?
I'm from the suburbs of Chicago. I always gotta say suburbs because Chicago girls they got a little they got a little something to come with. So I'm from the suburbs, okay, not from the city.
Okay.
But I've always been kind of the person that was like going to the beat of my own drum. Like I've never been a go along to get along, just a part of the crowd. I've always kind of done my own thing, and that sometimes got me in trouble when I was younger.
Great grades.
Great grades. I was a great student, but I was the one that was running my mouth talking too much. But my grades, you couldn't say much to me because I was
your grades. I always got the
so.
Talk too much, too talkative. Yeah. I always tell. I look back now and I tell my teachers, all the ones who were too talkative,
they're the ones that made it.
We doing our thing, right? Because we stepped out the box. This is not telling people to misbehave in class, right. But
I used to be a teacher, and it takes some skill to be like the bad student. They're usually they're usually not just bad.
Right.
They're creative. Their mind is going a million miles a minute, which is why they're sometimes disruptive, which is why sometimes they're done with their work and then they're looking for other things to do. So I think we lump bad into just this one category. But a lot of times, I connected with the bad student. Not because I don't think I was bad, but I was definitely doing my own thing. I had questions. Like, you're not just going to tell me. And I'm still that way.
I'm not just
going to go along just because you said this is the thing to do. And luckily, I won't say my parents, I will say my father kind of nurtured that in me, that you don't have to just go along with what everybody tells you. Like, it's okay to stop and ask questions and do things your way and come to your own conclusion.
That's something else we have in common outside of the sorority. My father, I basically attribute a lot of my success to him as well, because he actually gave me the confidence to be able to say, you can say what you want to say, do what you want to do, and guess what? I got your back.
Yep.
And when you have that support, it allows a young lady to feel that much more confident.
Yep.
So that says a lot. So you came from a 2-parent home.
I did, yeah.
All right. So was college always a part of the equation? Did you have any choice not to go to college?
Yeah, so I came from a military family, actually.
Okay.
So both of my parents were in the Marines. My sister went to college for a year, and then she ended up going to the Air Force. So I never was, pressured. We weren't having the conversations when I was 10, like, what school are you going to go to? Again, that was something that I came up with. That was something that I decided. And my parents, both of them, they knew who I was. So they realized very early on that I was the type of child, even if the answer is no, I'm going back and forth in my head like, well, is the punishment going to be worth? I'm not just going to take the no. I'm going to think through the no. Like, is it worth me doing it anyway? Like, what are the consequences going to be? And so they knew very early on that they weren't going to force me to do anything. Like, I was going to make up my mind, and we were all just going to have to deal with the consequences.
So do you think you chose college because that was what was told to you, that you needed to go to school next, or did you actually have a desire to go?
Oh, I wanted to go.
Okay.
I wasn't going to the military. Like, I don't have that attitude. I did not have the right attitude to like, I don't want to say I don't deal with authority well, but I probably don't deal with authority well. The telling me what to do thing is a thing that's always been consistent over my life. And thankfully it worked out, because, that can go.
It can go either way.
Yeah, that can go very, very bad too. But that was never an option to me. And so in my mind, yes, that was the only other thing. It's like military or college. Those, in my mind, those were the two choices.
So how did you choose education?
I've always wanted to be a teacher. I was like 7, 8 years old in the basement with my students who were my stuffed animals. Like, I was the one that wanted the chalkboards to play with and the dry erase, but like that was me. I don't know where it came from, because it's been in me for so long.
It's the bossiness.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I had the same thing. I was telling my doll babies what to do. I was writing on the back of my door in my room. My mom was so angry because she kept saying, "You're messing my wood doors up," because I was using a chalk, and I would get in trouble every week. But I did not care. I there was something about bossing around these Barbie dolls. Yeah, it was Barbies and teddy bears, but I even created fake little homework and graded them and all that other stuff.
Yep.
Okay, so then you go off to college, right?
Yes.
And then
Shout out to Tennessee State.
Okay, Tennessee State University,
ma'am.
right? And then you decide to follow the good girl route, right? You were studying education. You became a member of the sorority.
The sorority. Yes,
I didn't even say the name.
didn't even have
the
to.
sorority.
Yes.
All right. And then you graduated, right? All right. So you did everything by societal norms. Everything was perfect, right? So what made you say, I don't want to do this anymore?
So I did not make it through my first year as a teacher without feeling no I stayed,
Okay,
but I did not make it through my first year without feeling like, okay, no, like I can't do this, but I can't do this forever. You know, like something has to give. And honestly, it was something didn't sit right with me, the fact that, and this still exists, at least I think it does, but you can go on any county website and look up their pay scale, and it will literally say year 1 you make this, year 2 you make, all the way down to like year 30. It'll tell you what you make. And it did not sit right with me that I had a predetermined cap on the amount of money I could make regardless of
how good you were.
And that was the thing. I loved teaching. So I was going above and beyond. I was doing after school programs. I was a grade level chair. I was making the bulletin boards and working on the weekends, creating all of this stuff. And then there were teachers down the hall that had been there 10, 15 years that were like watching TV all day or like just printing off worksheets. And they were getting paid whatever that scale said based on how many years they had been there. And that, I'm all about fairness. Like, I think it's the Libra in me, but it's got to be fair for me to stick around. And so that did not sit well with me, that somebody outside of the school who had never met me before, who had no idea what I was bringing to the classroom, had already determined what I was worth.
And today, the teachers have to go through so much more. They have to even worry about, it's like going into Mortal Kombat. It's a war zone.
And I never had like bad kids. Like, I taught in Rockdale County. It was the black school in Rockdale County, but it was Rockdale County. It wasn't APS. It wasn't DeKalb County. I have a friend who's a teacher right now, and she teaches 5th grade. That's the thing.
Yeah.
But 2 students have brought guns to school. And we're at the beginning of the school year. So those are things that I'm like, girl, I'm praying for you.
Well, okay, you came from the inner city. So you were in the suburbs of Chicago. So I came from the inner cities, right? And back then when I was in school, there was violence, but people were bringing guns to school if they brought them to hurt one person, the person they were going after. They were not going to kill up the school.
Yeah.
Are you notice? I mean, before you left, did you notice there was some type of shift? Or like, what's going on with these kids that's making them? What's the shift?
I think I got out before the shift.
Okay.
And like I said, it was a Title I school. You know, it was like low economics. It definitely was all of that, but it wasn't like teaching in Chicago.
But you're not seeing in Title I schools right now, they're not the schools that the folks are coming and shooting up the masses.
Yeah.
Title I schools, that's not it.
Yeah.
Something is going on. I don't know if I can't just say it's social media that's causing these kids to shoot up. I know that it's the games and all of that, but it's a lot of anger.
Yeah, I was going to say, and there's even a video I just saw the other day with like a little girl that was like going through the classroom just like knocking stuff down. And it's like these kids are angry, like they are, and I know like mental health didn't just become a thing, so I don't know why we're seeing it. So I don't know. It is something.
I don't know if it's in a diet. It just really makes me wary. But let's move on to you. Okay. So then you decided, after how many years of teaching? 4. So what did the transition look like?
Into entrepreneurship?
As far as entrepreneurship, because I know that was a scary move, right?
It was a scary move, and it wasn't one that I just. Like, I don't have that story where I just took a leap of faith. Like you see on social media, they're like, you know,
everybody said just quit and figure it
out. Do not do it. But I got engaged my 3rd year.
Okay.
I got engaged my 3rd year, and I ended the engagement November of my last year. I
saw that was a very instrumental change for you, right?
I mean, that was like what led to, it was like a domino effect after that.
Before let's talk about that a little bit, right? Because what was it that made you call it off?
ooh, it should have never been on. It was me realizing that I say it was like a whirlwind relationship because we literally met in March and by November I had called it off. We were engaged by June. So it was literally like
Was he in a fraternity?
he was not in a fraternity. He was just a regular.
But was it something about society that made you feel like I need to be
for sure. 1,000%.
It was a pressure.
Yeah. And it was a pressure I probably put on myself, but it was, and I think all women kind of have like this timeline in their head.
And your friends, and your friends get married and engaged.
It wasn't necessarily my close friends. It was like Facebook. You would log on to Facebook and there's a wedding announcement. You're getting engaged. You're having a baby. Like all of the things.
That can make people depressed.
It does. It does make people depressed for sure. Because and then especially when, like you said, you followed like all of the steps. So, you went to school, you got the degree, now you have the job. I had bought my first property. So it was like, what's next?
The next thing to get married, have children,
get married and have kids. That's what's next.
Right.
And you can't control that like you can control all of the other things. So it was almost like a desperation to do the next thing. And that led me to falling into, I don't want to say a trap because, it was a conscious decision.
But it's a lot of women out here like that, right?
Falling into just settling for what you can get instead of waiting for what
How much of that was, I want to post a picture of me and him and put goals behind it?
How
much of it was that?
This was 2010.
Okay.
So it was before, I feel like that was like the thing. Because Instagram, I don't know when Instagram came out, but I don't think Instagram was around then.
Okay.
It was like.
And if it was a baby.
Yeah. So it wasn't like how we have like all day long. Like we are, if you ain't buying properties and buying Lambos and doing all the things, it wasn't that then. So I think it was more internal pressure. It wasn't so much, I want to publicly do this thing.
Okay.
And I'm a very private person anyway. So that's not my goal.
Okay. But there's a lot of people.
Oh, yes, for sure.
All they want to do is be able to post a picture.
And it don't even be nothing.
To say goals.
Yeah.
Right. And they're miserable, but they want to be able to say, right. So the pressure though was, okay, let me hurry up and get into this relationship. November, how did you have enough guts to say, I'm not going to do this?
You know what did it? So, okay, hindsight is 2020. I can literally, I know, like now my mature self, I know he has some mental health issues. At the time, and again, forgive me, y'all, don't put no bad comments under this video for this. I'm being honest. All I said to myself was like, this guy's bipolar. That's the only thing that was that's the only thing that I could relate to the behavior that I was seeing, because it was literally like a night and day. You just wake up mad, or you mad because it's Tuesday. Like it was literally like always something. And in my mind, it's just like, oh, he's bipolar. Like I don't know what's wrong with him, but that's what I would say. And so it was that the entire time. Like he was consistent in being what I consider to be like crazy. Again, don't cancel me for this, but I'm just telling y'all my truth. And so literally we met in March. The first time I remember him like doing something that I felt like was, okay, something was a little off. That was like May. So it was and that was before we got engaged. So it was literally 2 months in when I'm like, okay, something is off. And then from there, it was literally just like a consistent thing where it was like every other day, every other week.
Now, did you stay because you loved him, or did you stay because you felt like I had to follow through?
I stayed because we had gotten engaged so quick. We got engaged in June, which, me, again, being a mature woman, I know that there was a reason behind all the rushing, right? And it worked for a little while, because by the time we had gotten engaged and we were meeting each other's families and we had the engagement dinner,
pressure,
and I bought the dress, we had planned the wedding, we had the venue. It's like when you have all of those things, those are just more reasons why you're not going to turn back. It's like more reasons.
So you think he knew I needed to lock her down?
Oh, 1,000%.
Mama probably told him too.
When he really, like the first time he really cut up, again, I'm a private person, so I'm not about to call my friends and tell them how crazy he is. I'm not about to call my mama, so I call his mama, his parents actually. And literally like the first thing, I think it was his dad, the first thing they said when I was calling them, they were like, oh, he's still doing that? It wasn't like nobody was surprised. It was like, this is him. And I feel like, so y'all knew I was in the lion's den and y'all was just like dressing it up like this was all.
Well, you know what mamas are trying to do. Mamas, their
sell
end
them
goal.
Off to somebody else.
Well, not only just sell them off, but the end goal is you want to make sure that when you close your eyes, the very last time you close your eyes, that your baby is going to be okay. Your son, that somebody's going to take care of your baby.
No.
Is he still single?
I don't know what he is. I have not seen him. I bumped into him at a happy hour or something maybe a year later. That was like maybe 2011, 2012. I've never seen, heard,
or anything
nothing ever again. No.
So what happened to the dress?
Oh, girl, that dress stayed at that store. I didn't even go pick it up.
Oh, you didn't go pick it up. Did you lose the deposit and
I
all
lost
that?
everything.
Oh,
I didn't even care.
Mom and them was hot,
I
right?
didn't even care. Once they learned all that had been going on, nobody
Everybody was glad that you were strong enough.
Yeah,
because this is the
questioned.
thing. A lot of times people are pressured because of all of the noise. Everybody knows what is Auntie gonna say. We done put the money down. Da, 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 da. But you said, because I think about Kim Kardashian and Kanye, and Kanye's my boy. So talking about Chicago, big ups to Kanye. That's my boy. But Kim had to have seen and known what she was getting into prior.
And same with him, because he's doing all this posting about who she
What?
is. It's like, but
And
you
it's
was
burning
okay
me.
with that when y'all
and you worried about what's going to happen to Shy and North, and then don't want to have them
knew
pimp.
who you were producing with, so
You knew who you were producing, and you knew who the grandmother was.
you knew what the family was. So how can you complain? So again, and that was my whole thing on the backside of the relationship. I never felt like. I never went through the blaming thing. Like, you were just such a terrible person. I mean, I do think he was a terrible person, but there was something in me that attracted that. And I was always willing to hold myself accountable to, what were you going through that you went through this? What were
So
you
when
going
you
through
broke up with him, how did you do it?
Oh, so that's what you were asking me. Like, what was it at the end of 8 months?
Yeah.
So, to be 1,000% honest, I went to homecoming. I went back to Tennessee State, and that was like a big argument that we had because he wanted me to take him to homecoming. And now if you went to HBCU, you already know not that you can't bring a significant other to your homecoming, but he was cutting up. He didn't know how to act. So there's no way that I'm about to bring you around my people and you gonna embarrass me. Like,
and he's going to have to be real good because you're a soror too. And you know the AKA is having this event, that event, da-da-da-da.
I'm not doing that with you. I'm not
It's
doing
gonna be
that
a bunch
with
of,
you. He was the type of person, I mean, it's just so crazy to even think that I was with this person. But he was the type of, like, he would, like, embarrass me for real. Like, he couldn't be mad now and then we talk about it in the car. He gonna be mad now and we gonna have to argue about it right now. Whether we at dinner, whether we at, it don't matter. And again, I'm a very private person. I want to keep my business to myself. He wasn't like that. He didn't care. And I'm non-confrontational. So I don't want to argue with you anyway, ever. And so in my mind, it's just like, you going to get up here and embarrass me. Like, there's no way you're coming with me to homecoming. So that was already a thing. So when I got to homecoming, it was literally like a calling me all day long. What are you doing? Where you at? Yada, yada. To the point where he was literally, he ended up like threatening to come to Nashville. And as crazy as he was, I was never like scared. I, laughed it off most of the time. And so when he said, I'm gonna come to Nashville, I was just like, you just gonna come to the city? You don't know where I'm at. What do you mean you just gonna come to Nashville and get me? Like, it was like, this is crazy. But being at homecoming, it was kind of like, remember who you are. That is what I went through. Like, girl, remember who you are. So getting back to school and not necessarily like seeing my options, but just being back in
seeing them options.
Not even
I hope you're going checking for them cues, girl, because
we
cues.
We didn't have no cues. They were off the yard.
Cues are dangerous.
No,
they
were off the yard. I didn't have to go through that. I didn't have to experience that.
Okay.
But no, just being back in that mode of being the soror, like doing the
being
things,
that girl,
and it's like, you really fooling with this, like, so the math wasn't mathing, and I realized it, and literally I called him while I was there, told him I was done, and we were already in the middle of arguing, so it wasn't like out of the blue. I just called him and was like, I'm done. But I literally told him, like, I don't want to do this anymore. He had moved in with me, which is a whole nother thing, and it was literally like, you gotta go. And I never saw him again.
So he left before you came back?
I told him you needed to be out before I got back.
Now, you're lucky that he left because most times it's a whole lot of drama.
Yeah.
They're not getting out. Because that's the thing about what I tell people. When you allow somebody to move in, really be sure about what you're getting yourself into, because you can't just normally just get them out.
Yeah. I don't know what it was that I think he realized, like, because I had been done several times.
He had some pride about himself then.
I don't know.
Well, to me, for him to get up and get to moving, because a lot of people who don't have any pride for themselves, they're going to sit right there.
I think that, I don't know. I can't even speak for him, but thank God.
And then you moved on from that, right?
And then yeah.
And so that birthed something else for you, right?
Yes.
So what came from that?
So again, coming out of this engagement where I had been preparing, even though it was only for 8 months, but I had been preparing to be a wife. Like that was, if you were to ask me, like, what's my life goal? I wanted to be a wife and a mother. Like that's what I wanted. Now entrepreneurship is great, but
really, when you were in college, if somebody said, Koereyelle, what are you going to be when you grow up?
A wife and a mother.
So, because I had a line sister, Era's my girl, and I used to get on her case all the time because I've always been ambitious. And I used to ask her, what are your end goals? What do you want to? I just want to have a station wagon, my 4 kids. Yeah, she wanted a station wagon, a Volvo station wagon at that. And she wanted to drop kids off and pick them up and make cookies. And I was like, why are you here?
How is that your goal? Yeah.
How's that your goal? Why are you in college? Why are you here?
So I didn't ever want to be a housewife.
Okay.
But I was very okay with being a teacher, and teachers don't make no money. Like,
and by the way, there's nothing wrong with being a housewife.
No.
Not saying that.
Listen, that's a job.
It is. It's a big job. I'm just wondering, like, so I
did not have any desire to be a boss, be an entrepreneur, make a lot of money. That was not.
You wanted your
radar.
dude to take care of you.
I don't know that I wanted that. I just wanted to have a family.
You wanted to be a family.
I was going to earn my keep as a teacher, but that wasn't much earning, But
right.
And I was okay with that.
So
making money was not my goal.
You were good with being a good societal person.
Yes.
Going to work every day, being a teacher, coming home,
being a great teacher, being
cooking,
a great mother, being a great wife.
Doing the sorority stuff on the weekends.
That's what I wanted to do.
Soccer, but yeah, okay.
Yep.
So then life hit.
Life hit me.
So then you decided to say 4 years in.
So I didn't necessarily make the decision. I was ashamed to have called off this engagement.
Oh, so you did have
everybody
shame.
knew. Oh, 1,000%. Everybody knew I was engaged. I had like written this letter to God, which is how I thought I had manifested this man. I had told everybody this story. And when that blew up in my face, it was embarrassing.
So what do you think of, okay, stop. Because I often tell people, you really should keep your love life kind of private from social media. Because I feel like when things don't go well, you then want to go and say, don't ask me questions, please. We reserve the right to be private during this time. But you weren't private during the entire relationship, right?
Thankfully, it was like, I keep saying like pre-social media, but Facebook wasn't what Facebook is now. It was literally like your family and your friends. So
right.
I wasn't, so when I say everybody knew, it was like my friends, my line sisters, my family, my coworkers. Your coworkers be all up in your business.
You know that.
So it was people like that. It wasn't like me posting like, look at this man I manifested. It was like my close circle. But that was enough.
That was enough.
Because again, I'm a very private person. So the fact that I had told all them this and then it didn't work out. And the save the dates, everybody had to save the dates up on their refrigerator. That was like so embarrassing for me. And so I literally had this moment with myself where I said, you know what? I wanted to leave the school. I wanted to I wanted a fresh start. And so I literally applied to teach in Abu Dhabi. Part of the application process, before I could accept that contract, I had to give up my contract here. So I gave up my contract in Rockdale, accepted the contract to go teach overseas. And then literally 2 weeks before I was supposed to go, I met some random stranger. Never saw this person ever again, but we had lunch and he was talking, he was asking me well, why are you really going, that's crazy. Why are you going to Abu Dhabi? How much money are they paying you? He was asking me questions that I hadn't really asked myself. And after that, I had to have a real moment with myself and realize you don't even love teaching. It's not like you're going here because you love teaching. You really are just trying to run away. Yeah, I'm trying to run away from my problems.
Yeah, you running
I was running way away.
And it was very obvious. I'm sure everybody could say, okay, Koereyelle's just running.
Well, maybe they didn't say that to me, but again, I've always done whatever I wanted to do. So nobody was he was the first person that said, "Girl, this is crazy."
What about your friends? Were they supportive?
They were. They
weren't girl.
Be so amazing. No, because I think the Sex and the City had just went to Dubai, so everybody had saw that. So they you gonna go over there and meet a prince.
Why were you embarrassed then? Why were you embarrassed
that I had that ended the engagement? It was all me. All of this was me to me. This was never anybody in my ear girl, I can't believe
it was a story that you portrayed in your own mind.
Yeah, it was. You could not even make this relationship last.
Did anybody say when you broke up with him, girl, I knew it. I didn't want you to do it. I hate when people do that.
Came out the woodwork. And I'm y'all was just going to let me ride off to hell with this man? Yeah, and I'm not that. My friends, y'all can be mad at me, but I'm at least going to know that I told you, that I told you how I really felt. And it's probably because of that. Because so many people were I thought he was a little. And it's you were just going to
Well, you gotta play it close on that because
Not with me. Tell me.
Well, see that you're one of the few. You go to most chicks talking about their dude.
And they get mad.
They're gonna get mad. They're gonna tell him. Next thing you know, y'all not gonna be friends no more. It can be real messy.
And that's happened to me with friends before. But guess
yeah.
what? Years go by and you come back around and say when it don't work out. I've had that happen so many times where girls have gotten mad at me and then literally they come back and they like, you were right. I just thought you was. I don't have no reason to hate on nobody.
I learned in high school, girl. I got jacked up in a what you call those lockers. I went to my girlfriend telling her about her dude. Next thing I know, I'm getting ready to go to biology class, and old boy came up to me, got me by the collar. She's standing behind him, and I was up in the daggone locker. I'm like, yo, you not gonna say nothing to him? And she just, and I'm like, oh, from that
Love
point on,
is a hell of a drug.
yes, he even tried to run me down with a car. Crazy. So I said, I am never talking anymore. Yeah. You can deal with your own, because she stayed with him. He was a monster. He was a beast. But I learned a lesson. Stay out of people's business.
No, I'm not staying out. I'm sorry, friends. And my friends, but you know what? My friends know what to tell me and what not. They not gonna. Because I'm not.
What kind of. You probably have a certain group of friends that.
Yeah. And I can't sleep at night watching you just ride off into the sunset with like a lunatic.
A loser, right?
Yeah, I can't.
But there's a lot of people doing that. Just because, again, the pressure to just be able to say, I have a plus one.
Yep.
Is a lie. Okay, so you decided then, you had met a stranger. He asked you about Abu Dhabi. And then you said, wait a minute.
I said, wait a minute, what are you really doing here? And this was like I said, it was like 2 weeks before I was supposed to leave. So I had put my I had connected with, I don't think I had a renter yet for my condo, but I had a management company that I was working with. I had gave away, I wear a size 10 shoe, and I have 2 homegirls that wear size 10. They got all my shoes. I gave away like all of my stuff in preparation. They ain't give me my shoes back either when I decided to stay.
Know.
And I'm like, I felt some type of way about that. But I had done all of the things to move, and then I literally just had to ask myself, like, you're running, but you can't hide. You're going to have to come back. It was only for 2 years. So you're going to have to come back. And I decided not to go. And because I decided not to go, I didn't have my job here anymore. I didn't have that job. And so the summer was coming to an end. And, when the summer's coming to an end, those checks are about to stop coming. And so I literally, where this idea came from, I cannot tell you. I have no idea. But I decided to go to bartending school at the end of the summer. And that was probably one of the best. My mama had to pay for me. Shout out to my mama. She had to pay for me to go to bartending school. That was one of the best things that I could have done because taking a couple steps back, because I had gotten out of this relationship and because I should have never been in the relationship, I was putting this pressure on myself. I wasn't ready to be a wife. I ended up starting this organization called the Single Wives Club.
Okay.
It was all about single women preparing to become wives because after, my engagement, I just started looking for resources. Like, how can I make sure I avoid this ever again? How can I prepare? Because I knew I still wanted to be a wife. I just didn't want to marry this guy. And so I started to try to find resources and zero, and I mean like nothing.
Therapeutic.
Nothing existed for just single women. You can find like premarital counseling and stuff once you have a mate. But for just single women, there's nothing out there. And so I started this, me and my homegirls in my condo just trying to figure it out. And so bartending school actually allowed me the freedom during the day and the money at night to be able to like build this business. And that was my first step into entrepreneurship. So
one of the things you did was you recognized the need. I tell people this all the time, solve a problem, become a millionaire.
Yep.
Period. And so it doesn't require you to have to be super ingenious. And usually if people pay attention to their experiences and their pain, the answer is right in front of your face.
Yep.
But you ignore it many times. So the whole purpose that you went through what you went through
led me to that pain led me to my purpose.
That's right. Sure. That's right. And I tell people this all the time. Your millions reside in your pain. But most people don't want to deal with it. They're too ashamed, too embarrassed. Most people wouldn't even have sat here and told the story you just told now.
Oh, I proudly tell it. Because when you said like that was, crucial, it literally was everything because I found myself through that. I found my purpose through that.
Your voice.
I launched my business through that. you know, that the Single Wives Club is what like put me on the map. You know, if you Google me and you see all of those media accolades, that came from me starting the Single Wives Club, which came from that painful experience. So there's no shame in my game. And I think that's why it was so successful, is because I never was ashamed of it. It was like, this is just something I went through. Let me help you not go through the same thing. Yeah.
And so the Single Wives Club, is that how you became so popular, or was it Instagram that became?
No, it was the Single Wives Club.
Okay.
Yeah. And crazy. Again, I was bartending, you know, like just picking up gigs, and I was doing like a wine something here in Atlanta, and Frank Ski came by my booth and literally somehow started telling him about the Single Wives Club. He thought it was the craziest thing in the world. The next day he mentioned it on his radio show. Like 2 days after that, they called me. The lines were going crazy. The people just, you know, this concept of the Single Wives Club, is it crazy? Is it needed? Yada, yada, yada. And that is what actually turned it into like a business. Because before
shout out to Frank Ski, right?
Shout out to Frank Ski.
Shout out to Frank.
Yes.
And congratulations to him. He just went syndicated. Finally, he's been at this game for a long time too. So shout out to him.
Putting some respect on his name.
Yes.
But he literally put me on the map. And you know, I mean, if you're not here in Atlanta, like Frank Ski with the morning show, like was it. So just that mention and then them bringing me on, that's what turned it from just like a passion project to like an actual business, because then people wanted to know, how can they be a part of it? Like, what did I have that other people could come to? And that's what made me get serious about, okay, I gotta make this something for real.
How did you monetize it?
Events.
Okay.
So again, I'm a teacher. So I'm like, well, how can we, and it was all education based, because obviously I'm not a wife, I'm a student, right? So I'm solving a problem. I'm solving my own problem and realizing that other people have this problem as well. And so we started with just education, and we're called like Single Wife Socials. And so I literally would bring together single women. I would bring wives in, and they would teach us stuff. And so that is how I started monetizing it.
What type of stuff were y'all teaching? How to cook or what?
So they were talking about communication. I had a lot of life coaches. So I had wives that were talking about, you know, what they wish they would have known before they got married, things that single women could do now to prepare to become wives. And then I had life coaches and matchmakers and relationship coaches, and just anybody that I could basically find that I felt like would add value.
But wait a minute, Koereyelle. Most of these relationship coaches I'm finding really aren't that great in relationships.
You know, that's true. But one of the ones that was really good, she wasn't great in relationships herself. She was good though.
But how is she good if she's not good at? I don't understand it. Is she just saying theory? Or?
So, but this is the thing. That's some of the pushback I got as the leader of the Single Wives Club. The number one thing people would say, but you're single,
right?
And it's like, but I see the need.
But you knew the journey. You were going through the journey.
I saw the need, and I'm an educator. Like my degrees are in education. I could put together a curriculum, and so that was always my thing. Like I'm not teaching the classes. I'm just hosting the classes.
Right.
You know, and I'm bringing in experts. But that is very true. And even today, like some of the you know, the relationship experts that I'm still connected with, they're single as hell themselves, but they be
knowing what though? See, to me,
but see, that's where the wives came in.
Okay,
that's where the wives came in, because my whole thing was like connecting happy wives, which if you're not happy in your relationship, 9 times out of 10, you're not gonna be volunteering to come do this work.
Well, people will do anything in these for clout.
Well, back then, this was like
come on, Koereyelle, you know, it's a whole lot of people out here fronting.
That's true.
It's a lot.
But this was like 2013. You know, this was like very early.
You could be happy as a wife. That doesn't mean he's happy as a husband.
That's true. But you can't control that part. You can't control that part.
But if you're going to be talking about a marriage requires two people. Right. And so I just think that when people give out advice on marriage, it's very difficult to do, because you're giving it from your perspective. You don't really know what his thoughts are. You really don't even know what he's doing. We don't even really know what she's doing. It's just difficult. And then everybody's situation is different.
Very true. So I think it's never like, like a recipe for, you know, you do this, and this, and then this is going to be the end result. I think it's more so just something to pull from, because if we're being honest, aunties ain't having the conversations. Mamas, I came from a 2-parent home, but I don't want my mama's advice on marriage. Like, I don't want to duplicate what she did.
See, that's when I had a conversation just last week with some of the people here in the office, right? And I asked them, I said, hey, is your grandmother married? And she was like, yeah, but that ain't
what I want.
But this is the thing. When you have been married for 40, 50, 60 years, there has been peaks and valleys. I just celebrated 24 years of marriage, right? Thank
you. So
you
couldn't give relationship advice?
I can give advice from where I sit. Being, if it was another alpha woman that was married to an alpha male.
And it would be helpful for somebody.
Right. But the point is, if it was someone who was a beta woman, I don't know that my advice would suffice.
But my whole thing was, it's better than the nothing that we're getting. It's better than the nothing that was out there.
Well, but aunties and grandma and all them was trying to give advice, but nobody wanted to hear from them because their marriage to the inside. When you see the inside, the inner workings, the inner workings is the truth. That's the truth. And most people think that what they see on social media is the truth.
Who thinking that?
It's the inner workings. And
I 1,000% agree with what you're saying. What I'm saying is, it was never like, again, you do this, this, and this, and then you're going to live happily ever after. That wasn't the thing. It was just giving people something to consider. Because everything is not going to be foolproof.
Nothing.
You know, you could tell me I'm an alpha woman. I am your perfect person. And I go home and my man be like, girl, sit down somewhere. Like it's not,
because you got to know how to turn it on and turn it off.
And we're people.
Right.
Everybody's different.
Right.
Everybody's different, and we evolve. So the person you were 24 years ago is not who you are today, and so you all had to evolve and grow together. So I don't think there's any one formula, but I do think considering other people's experiences is important.
It is very important. And I think listening to Auntie, who had the jacked up marriage, is important too. It's important.
But you know what? I was only pulling from my experience. So my mother was married, and I have one aunt that was married. My grandma was married, but nobody else.
But see, I learned a lot from the jacked up auntie relationships, because it did something to me very early on that said, you will never be vulnerable enough to have to depend on another person to eat, sleep, breathe. And when that clicked in me early. And then, not to mention, my father also told me at 13 years old, he said, I'm going to teach you principles, because number one, there's no guarantee that you're ever going to get married, because that was during the time when marriages and stuff, you didn't know if your daughter was going to get married or not. 13. And then the second thing he told me was, never have more children than you can afford to take care of by yourself. So those are principles at 13 that stick in my head today. But seeing my auntie sit back and be miserable and can't go anywhere because the money is tied to someone else said something to me. That won't be me. So I think it's something that you can learn even in the bad relationships.
No, for sure. You can learn what not to do. And sometimes that's just as important as learning what to do. But sometimes there's no conversations to be had. So if you are not just observant and noticing those things, then you walk away with nothing. And so my aunties, they weren't getting married. Not only were they not getting married, it was like shame around relationships. Like, I'm not bringing up. Two of my aunties, I ain't never seen a man ever in life.
Listen,
to the point where
I know.
To the point where when I brought my now
made you
husband,
feel guilty.
My auntie referred to him as like your friend or something, and I had to correct her. Like, no, this is my man. It was this thing around. It could be a little
jealousy.
I don't know.
I think it's jealousy, because I used to have a auntie that would tell me, you see how I am. I'm single and I'm proud and I'm doing well and I'm da-da-da. Be like me. Be like that. Yeah, you ain't happy, sis. You're not happy. I'm not saying that you have to be married to be happy.
But companionship, everybody wants.
Nobody wants to die alone. Period.
Right, rest in peace to Kevin Samuels. Nobody wants to die alone.
Kevin was my dude. What your thoughts?
I thought Kevin's delivery was terrible.
Terrible.
I thought that his theories were on point.
Kevin made me think about stuff that I didn't think about. He made me,
because he had them statistics, baby. He had some research to back it up.
And he made me check myself. And I didn't. And then I also couldn't blame him too much, because the women. You volunteered and called on that line.
And he gonna treat you how he treat people at his house. I never felt bad for those. not only did I not feel bad, me and my husband would listen and watch together, and not only did I not feel bad, I couldn't even defend them because they would say some of the most ridiculous things. It's like, girl, you're making us look bad.
They called on there, I think, to disrespect him too, and I think we have to realize too that disrespect won't be tolerated. And so I'm not saying that I'm a pro Kevin Samuels person, but I will tell you that he made me think differently.
And that's what I appreciated about him, is that he brought forth the conversation, because a lot of our community is not having the conversation. And if we are, it's usually from oh, it's going to be okay.
Pacifying.
Yeah, or like, the right man will just love you. And it's like, yes, the right man will love you, but you're going to have to bring something to the table. You're going to have to give him something to love. What are you bringing to the table?
And it can't, this is another thing he brought he said was, don't think that it makes you a high value woman just because you have a degree.
Nobody cares about that. The man you want, like the men you don't want, are going to care about the money you
Right.
But men who are also bringing something to the table, they don't care about that. That's just extra.
And even the ones who are not bringing as much as you to the table don't want to always be reminded. Of that.
That is like I think that was especially for Black women, because the research, everything, the studies are all showing how the rate at which we're graduating college, the rate at which we're starting businesses, the amount of money we're making, and it's like we literally carry that as
a
our
badge
resume.
of honor.
Yeah, like this.
And we said we're high value women because of that.
Yeah.
And one of the things he made me think about, he said, "But why are you going?" So it was a young lady. I think it was social justice. No. It was criminal justice. But she wasn't trying to be an attorney. So he said, why are you getting a PhD in that? You're going to still go down to the county and you're only going to make $38,000.
And you done spent how much on this degree?
Right. And you're putting this dude off on the side talking about, I'm going to go get a degree. Meanwhile, he's going off and finding Becky that's ready to make the cookies right now. He just made you think about why you were making the decisions that you were making.
Yourself. You could not listen without checking yourself.
So rest in peace to Kevin Samuels. I'm really wondering who's going to be next. Not necessarily.
Listen, I'm not wondering. I wish y'all would stop too, because some people I feel like are trying. They
too hard, right?
I don't think I know a lot of the stuff that he was doing was like, because he obviously had a platform and it was entertaining and all of those things. But at the root of it, I think he really had good intentions.
Authentic.
It is a lot of people who I feel like are just saying things for like
shock factor.
Yeah.
They're trying to, but you know what though? That's whenever those people never really succeed. No, I always tell people all the time, listen.
They're just annoying.
Yeah, you can see it a mile away. You can see it a mile away. Okay, so Single Wives Club is now closed.
It is shut down at the moment.
It's shut down. Is it? You planning on bringing it back?
I'm praying about it.
Okay.
I'm praying about it. The ladies still need help. They got on my nerves though. That's why I ended up letting it go, because it was single women were my biggest headache, because again they were like, this is who I am, take me as I am, where's the man? And it's like, no, that was never my message. That my message was like, literally our tagline was, become a better woman before becoming a wife. It's like, you make this list, but then you got to become the list. That's one of the things Kevin Samuels stood on. Like, you want this 10, and I'm not just saying physically, but you want this 10 and you're a 2. It does not make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
Why would the 10 want the 2?
Well, because the 2 didn't realize they were 2.
Exactly.
That was the real deal.
But
and the people got mad about that.
Accept it.
But people got mad about his chart.
But he asked you to rate yourself, sis, and you couldn't even lie about it. You couldn't even lie about it. But again, that was the thing. It's making you think.
Right.
Something that has never been brought to your attention, because a lot of us, we're just, oh, you beautiful. It's going to be okay. And
won't tell the truth.
Won't tell the truth because the truth hurts.
Would you have interviewed Kevin?
Absolutely not.
You would not have?
Absolutely.
Would you have been worried about the backlash or what?
No, I would not have been worried about. So, okay, maybe I would have interviewed him, but I would not have gone to his platform.
I would. Let me tell you something. Kevin Samuels was my dream to work with. Not interview, but I'm also a producer. I wanted to work with him to produce some projects. I knew then that if I had reached out to him, there was a cancel culture out. It is a cancel culture out, and I knew that at that particular moment was not the time. And I had it. He was on my bucket list to eventually work with him and produce a show.
I had a live podcast a couple weeks ago, and the last panel was a panel of guys, and one of them mentioned Kevin Samuels, and when I say the crowd was, they damn near booed. It was, because it's such a sore And again, I think it was his antics. You know, some of his antics were a
delivery.
little like, why you ain't got to play
But I
that
wanted
sound
to go
effect
in.
like
See,
that.
this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to go into the mind. I think many people still, they don't know who, why, how, where did Kevin come from? And I wanted to delve into that. Who is the real person?
But then too, like what you said, like how can you be this relationship person and you got relationships jacked up? He was like that too.
Well, but
people started finding that out, and I think that
was it jacked up?
I don't know his business, but
Well,
what
this
was
is
put
the
out
thing.
there.
He had been married before. My biggest problem, Koereyelle, is these relationship experts. They ain't never been married, don't have no kids,
So
but they trying to tell me what to do.
So would you would respect advice more from somebody who got married and it didn't work out than somebody who's never been
Let me
married?
tell you something. I respect people who've gone through the process. So if you've been through it, it worked, it didn't work, you're now divorced, and now you're going to tell me these are the things to watch out for. If you go down this path, you're going to end up like me, blah, blah, blah. I respect people who've gone through the process. And I think in this day and time that we live in, so many people have become super uber rich and they haven't gone through the process. And that's not just in relationships. That's in business. You have people out here that's business coaches now, and they don't even have a business. Their business is coaching. But how you coaching me?
That's the thing. Beware.
Yeah. So those are things that I watch out for. I really do.
So.
I really, really do. So I think, those are things that challenge me. But okay, so Single Wives Club is on hold.
On hold.
On hold.
On ice. Yes.
But then I saw that you've had some major conferences and you've done a lot of great things in the community. What are you working on right now?
Ooh, I am in the lab right now. Actually about to start dabbling in your space in terms of media. So I started my media company a couple years ago and didn't ever really. I got busy doing other things and didn't ever really fulfill what I truly want to do with it. But something that people have asked me year after year after year that I just kind of shied away from was, getting more recognition. So going from, unknown to being known and, how have I been able to do it? And because it's something that has kind of come natural for me, I never really felt comfortable helping other people do it because I'm not that person that's going to lie and pretend, and try to tell you what to do when I haven't done it. So that's what I'm working on. I'm in the lab working on that right now, figuring out what that looks like. But I know that that's a space, that.
So you don't know, are you looking to be a publicist? Or
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Not looking to be a publicist. Really just looking to help people prepare to position themselves to be on different platforms.
Got you. Yeah.
And creating their own platforms because that's something I've done across the brands that I've established. It's really been building these platforms, hosting these events, putting out podcasts, creating content, which, it's you can't avoid being a content creator these days if you are making money online. So just helping people package that up.
Happily married now, right?
Happily.
How long have you been?
Happily.
How long have you been married?
I got married January 1st, 2021. So
you
it'll be
are
2 years.
I'm a
newlywed.
Congratulations.
Thank you. New wife,
so no
new
wonder
mommy, all the things.
Single Wives Club is on hold.
The year I stopped doing is the year I met my husband. So
what do you think it was? You think it was what do you think it was? Manifestation? You stopped talking about what you didn't have and start focusing on what you did? What do you think
I think that was part of it. I also think, I will say though, I still had the Single Wives Club when I met him. And I do think that was like, if for a marriage-minded man to meet a woman that has this type of business, I do think that gave me a little, that gave me a little points.
Okay.
That gave me some points. Like, you really doing this work. Like, you really are preparing. So I do think that was a good look. But I think that when I realized that he was my husband, I realized that all this stuff I had been preaching is really real. And I also realized that y'all don't want to do the work. And I'm not about to keep wasting my time beating y'all in the head with what you need to do, and y'all just want me to be a matchmaker because I'm not a matchmaker. I can't just deliver a man.
And then guess what? If you deliver a dude,
you ain't gonna act right anyway.
Right.
So we're wasting our time.
So yeah, what are we doing here? Right.
That's what they want.
What are some of the biggest things you notice that the women do? Some of the most prevalent things you see over and over again that keeps them from meeting that perfect guy?
Oh, sleeping with too many men too soon. That's a big one. So
what about sleeping with too many men, period?
Period, yes. But, if you got your numbers up, it ain't much you could do to
the body count,
yeah,
right?
You can't really go
that
back.
Body count.
You can't erase it.
You think guys care about body count?
Mixed.
You don't think they care?
I think some do. I think some don't. And I think some just don't care to know. I think the bigger thing is it's like a publicly known thing. Because you could be like a private
hoe.
Yes, I was gonna say it, but yes, you could be a private hoe and nobody knows about it. You carry yourself well, nobody knows about it. But if you like meet his homeboy and his homeboy knows of you, or that's the thing I feel like men care about because they're all about their pride.
Yeah.
But I literally had an event this year called the Single Season Summit when I was like feeling like I was gonna get back into relationship readiness, and I, started working with some women and. I was like, no, I don't know if I can do this because
but it sounds like there's a huge sexual revolution going on right now, though.
In what way?
It seems like now with the whole Cardi, Megan, Nicki, it's like it started with Little Kim, but it's okay to be free. If I want to be with you today, I can be with him tomorrow. I can be with whom I want to, and that's okay.
That is okay.
It is okay
as long as you don't want a husband. It's okay. You're free to do.
But what if one day you want a husband?
You better not. Your social media better not look like you was Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion.
But Cardi B said, "Let me show you how I got my ring." It worked for her, right?
Did it work for her? Again, we don't know what goes on behind closed doors.
True.
And a lot of people stay in relationships just to be in relationships. So are you truly happy? Like I can say. With every ounce of, and I've been, we've been together 5 years, 15 years. I pray that I still feel this way. But I can honestly say there's nothing about my relationship that I'm putting on. Like when I see my husband, I really am like, damn.
You
like
get the jitters.
Yes, like God did that. And I really feel like that. It's nothing fake or Instagram about it. I think there are a lot of people who want to look like that. And so they stay in it just to say they got something. So I don't know. And I don't know what Cardi B got going on.
Right.
But I think that, yes, you can do all of those things. You are free to do all of those things. But does a marriage-minded man want that? Or are you just attracting men who will sleep with you?
So when do you stop sleeping with other men, though? Is it once you become engaged or once you get married or once you
Why
get steady?
Are you sleeping with multiple men?
I agree.
Let's stop right there.
But, okay, you just said that some of the biggest issues that people have is because of that, right? So I'm just trying to figure it out.
Okay, so yes, multiple men is a thing, but also sleeping with men too soon. I think that, and I don't necessarily subscribe to the rules, like the 90-day rule and all that stuff, but I think you need to come up with your own rules. I'm not going to tell you a rule, but whatever works for you, because you know yourself.
That's right.
Some women let it all go too soon, and then every single time they're regretting it.
But guys are always saying it really doesn't matter if you give it to them day one or day 90.
They are lying.
They're lying.
That works out rarely.
Okay.
Right? But I've always been a homegirl, so I've had these conversations. That's probably what's helped me too, is like, I see what y'all are doing for real. And I'm not about to do that because I see how they talking about you.
Right.
So I've had friends who literally will try you. Like they are going to try you just to see if you're going to go for it. You're going to think, and this is one of those men are from Mars, women are from Venus things, because women are going to think, well, if I don't give in, he's not going to really like me. Like I'm going to mess it up. And men are like, well, if you give in, I'm gonna think you a hoe. I'm gonna think you give in to everybody.
And that's
that's
even if they really like you.
Even if they really like you, now you've put yourself into this box.
They're questioning.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about alpha women. Do you consider yourself an alpha woman?
I do.
Okay. What do you think some of the biggest mistakes alpha women make?
Putting their business, whether it's a career or their entrepreneurial journey, above relationship.
But how do you make that number two?
I don't know if it's making it a number two. I think it's just prioritization, because if you're running a company, is it ever truly going to be number two? Like there's literally... It can't, right?
It can't.
So I think the right partner is what's most important.
That's what I tell people, because I think for me, the reason why I've been able to be married for 24 years is because he knew I was extremely ambitious.
He knew what he was signing up for.
He knew what he was signing up for. And I remind him of that. Whenever you knew what you were getting, okay? But I think it's important because I think... alpha women have it bad. And if you notice, most alpha women, they stay single until the end.
So I've always said, like, I want some honey to go with my money.
That's right.
Having this money is cool. Buying yourself all the stuff is awesome. But no.
But I tell sisters, too, they may want to just step out the ranks a little bit. Stop waiting on brothers. Listen.
Wait. What do you mean by that?
I mean that if the brothers ain't checking for you, there's a whole lot of other men out here with other nationalities that would. But a lot of us, we are staying too loyal to brothers, and brothers ain't loyal to us.
Keep looking.
Keep looking for the brothers?
Yep. I'm sorry.
You think the brothers looking for us?
Yes,
You
the
do?
right one, the right time. I think that you can get what you want. Now,
But what's wrong with the other stepping on over there? What's wrong with creeping on over to the
I'm
other?
hella black, hella proud, and I want hella black, hella proud children.
Yeah, I
I'm
get you.
raising my children to...
I don't want my daughter to be hella alone.
But you got a black son.
Let me tell you about my son, though. My son has rules. I told him, don't you even think about it. Don't bring it up in here.
See?
But this is what I see, though. Let me tell you why. Because I look online and I see a lot of the little black girls going to the proms with their girlfriends and alone. And the
That's
black
because y'all
boys.
sending these kids to these white schools and they don't have no options.
Listen, my son had options. He went to a white school.
Mm-hmm.
I did not allow for a whole lot of foolishness.
So your daughter, you have a daughter?
I do.
So would you allow your daughter to go to prom with a white boy?
I would rather her go to the prom with a white boy than to go to the prom with her best friend.
You just not going to the prom, sis.
But she went to homecoming this past week.
With a
She's
white boy?
14. No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is I have relegated my mind to the fact that I do not want her. I had options upon options upon. I ain't bragging, y'all, but options. It was no prom. It was multiple proms, multiple of this, multiple. But what I see now, though, Koereyelle, that's not the case for our young black girls.
I think because of what you just said, we are telling them, well, these black boys might not be.
I ain't telling them.
I have full faith, and maybe I'm a fool, but I have full faith that there are other mothers out there that's telling their sons what you're telling your son. So my daughter's just going to find one of them.
Let me tell you something. And there's a whole lot of Kanye's and Lamar's and Tristan's, and they know exactly what they're getting into, and they keep running over there. You know, Kanye used to date a beautiful little girl named Alexis. Do you remember that? Before
Amber Rose?
Yeah, before all that. She was a beautiful brown girl. Where's Alexis today?
Where's Kanye today? Where's his mind today?
Thank you. And Donda.
So then why do you feel like the white man is just going to make it all better for the
I'm not going to think it's going to make it all better. I don't want my daughter living her last days alone. So if a brother's not checking for her.
At 24 years, with your black son, has lost faith in the black man.
I have lost faith because I looked at Facebook and Instagram too much, Koereyelle. Because I've seen too many prom dates with the little girl going with her friends.
But I think they're not having the conversations. I plan on having conversations with my daughter around dating and selecting.
And being dateable.
Yeah, and being dateable.
And yeah.
White girls, their families are having these conversations.
They're teaching them.
They're getting sent off to college saying, you better not come back with a degree without a man.
That's right.
We are not having those conversations. So I think if we as mothers intentionally have these conversations with our sons and our daughters, then we're literally, your son can get with my daughter. My daughter, it's literally creating a community.
You're right, because I look across, my son doesn't, I already have somebody in my mind for him.
See?
And I'm
your
just
daughter
hoping
just
that.
out here.
Well, no, hold on.
You can go on across the street
no,
and
she's
get
not.
you with a white boy. Don't do it.
No, she's not out there. But what I will say is this: I just don't want her living a life alone.
See, that thought does not even, it's not even in that's not an option. I am so, and again, this might make me a fool, I don't know, but I am so full of faith that there is another little black boy out there that has been raised to be hella black and hella proud, the same way I'm raising my little black boy, and they just gonna find each other.
They're gonna find, so you believe in soulmates?
I do believe in soulmates. I do.
Okay.
I do.
All right. Well, I just hope and pray. And like I said, I am teaching my daughter how to also be dateable. How to
Don't
be.
teach your daughter that there's other options out here, though.
Well, I'm not teaching her that, but what I'm doing is making myself, the same restrictions I had on my son, I am now making myself a little bit more flexible for her, because I just don't want her walking around here looking at everybody else taking beautiful prom pictures and she's just standing to the side.
Why would that be a thing, though? Are there not options at her school?
Oh, let me tell you something. It's a thing. Look at social media.
That is not even in my universe.
So you see, because your babies are small.
They are small, but I mean,
wait till they get old enough.
I have friends who have older, and it grinds my gears when I see.
But do you see it?
It's usually the boys, though.
It is the boys. But my point is, I see it, and it makes me wonder, what about my baby?
Yeah, no.
It makes me wonder. I
don't
wonder.
care if I got to hook you up with one of my homegirls. Like, no, it's not. And I feel like the pride that I plan on instilling,
But
like, you
if
wouldn't
you gotta
even want
hook
to
her
do
up,
that.
though,
You
what do you?
wouldn't even do it.
But what do you think that's gonna do to her self-esteem? That my mom had to go and find somebody to take me to the prom. That somebody didn't choose me.
It's gonna be better than her going with her homegirls.
Yeah, but he didn't choose me. How do you feel when you're not the chosen?
You'll get chosen in college, sis. But today, here's who I got for you. Have a nice, fun night.
And that right, you're not going to do it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I went to my junior year. I went to prom with one of my homegirls.
Okay.
I didn't feel like, oh my God, I don't have a date. I feel like, girl, we about to go have a great time. So
But okay, were you dating somebody then?
I don't think I had a boyfriend. I had a boyfriend my senior year, and we went to prom together. So
It didn't bother you that someone didn't come up to you and say, Koereyelle, will you please be my prom date?
No, I just wanted to go to prom and have fun. I didn't care.
Well, what's the point of going to the prom if you don't have a
think that
date? I don't understand. I'm confused.
I think these new kids is different.
What they doing at the proms though
Just
now?
dancing and having a good time. They're not like, they don't care about the pictures and I don't know.
They just doing the rave. My daughter told me at the homecoming they do something called rave now. Everybody jumping.
You don't need a date for that.
Right.
I think it's just different. I think what prom used to be and what it is now is just different. And you can't put your prom pressure on your daughter. Like,
I
you
know.
got to have
I got to calm
date
down. I have to
by
calm
prom.
down. Right. That's true. That's
now,
true.
college, you can put the pressure on. Because I do feel like, you know, obviously I met my husband after college, but I do feel like college was like, especially if you go to a HBCU.
Yeah, I didn't go to a HBCU. I went to a predominantly white university.
Well, send your daughter to a HBCU.
Probably so. And I think that opens up the opportunity for them more.
Because you can have, it's an array.
It's an array.
Whatever kind of black boy you want. The techie one, the athletic, like, it's an array. You can.
So you think that once you graduate from college, if you don't have your eyes on, because Kevin talked about that. He said once you finish college, if you're not,
danger zone.
Yeah, you're in the danger zone if you're not already connected with something or somebody. You believe that to be true?
I don't necessarily believe that to be true, but I can remember having the thought of like how difficult dating became after college, because it was like in college, everybody's on even playing field. It's you literally walk outside your door and there's options. Whereas, and I moved to Atlanta, thankfully, so it was still very black. But you go outside. I was a teacher, so I didn't have a bunch of male coworkers. I wasn't surrounded by a bunch of men where I had dating options. So it's just very different.
Very different. Yeah. So what do you think now about this whole side chick winning thing? Because this weekend, City Girls got 1 point up when Camilla is now the queen. Camilla is the queen. So side chicks got a point. What do you think about it? You think you just stay in there and wait until when you become?
I think that side chicks are miserable and they're pretending.
You think
to
so?
be winning? Absolutely, because if you could be the one and only, you can't tell me, you can't convince me. I don't care how many times you say, you can't convince me that you wouldn't prefer that.
That's right.
You can think and believe that I just get him, I got him on the weekends when he's happy and I don't have a responsibility. You could tell yourself that all day long. But I am not convinced that if you had a choice, you wouldn't want to be the one and only. So that doesn't make any sense.
Would you stop being friends with someone
because
she was a side chick?
Yes.
Why?
Get away from me.
Right. It was against your personal.
I am very
Were you married?
No, I was.
Okay.
I wasn't married. I was single as hell, and it still was like, girl, you're making me look. I felt like you're making me look bad. Like these men are going to think that I'm willing to do the things that you're doing, and it's just not a good look. So
y'all just cut it off.
Yeah,
y'all still friends today?
Outrageous. No.
Did she end up becoming the wife?
I don't know what happened to that girl.
You do know that back in the day, side chicks died alone. Today, they're dying with someone's husband.
No, I don't know about that.
Those side chicks.
How they dying with somebody's husband? The wife already died?
They just taken. Like back in the day, the men did not leave the wives. They stayed.
You're saying these days the men are leaving?
Today, yes, ma'am.
Well, go. Because you obviously, this ain't the relationship I signed up for anyway.
Right.
See ya.
But it also makes women feel like they have to always be on their P's and Q's.
Well, you should be.
You should be, right?
You should be, but not out of fear of competition.
Right.
I think you should be on your P's and Q's because you want a healthy
You shouldn't get too comfortable.
I mean, no, not in business, not in love, not with your friend. No,
That's right.
I don't think that's an option.
I agree with you 100%.
But I don't think that gives your man like a right to go out and like.
Oh no, I don't think it gives right, and I also don't think it's just a man in this day and time, because what you're finding now, statistics show that women are having more affairs than men are.
Because they're not happy.
Right.
I don't subscribe to the thought that women are just like so sexual, they just got to go out and have sex with somebody. I think that they are trying to make up for something that they feel like they're lacking.
I think a lot of women did exactly what you were about to do.
Marry the
walk
wrong
down the
person.
aisle because my sorority sisters, my cousins, my friends, everybody else was having baby showers and wedding showers and buying the dress, and I want to say yes.
Yep.
And therefore now you're seeing where they're looking and saying, somebody save me, help me.
I married the wrong guy. And they don't want to just admit that. So they're like, I'm just going to find a way to make up for whatever it is that's lacking, instead of just leaving the marriage and really finding something that fulfills you.
Facebook is bad too.
What's
Facebook is allowing people to find folks from back in the day, reminiscing, inboxing. There's a bunch of drama out there on Facebook.
Yeah, you got to get off Facebook because you're looking at the prom pictures. You got to get off. You got to get off of Facebook. These social networks will mess you up.
It will. It will mess your mind. And I think that's where this mental health issue is coming to play. I think that's why we're seeing so many really beautiful women jumping off of bridges because they're thinking that they are not. And so many really successful people killing themselves because of what's
comparing themselves to everybody.
Because, those folks on Instagram are me.
Got it all together. No, the folks on Instagram are perfect.
Yeah.
They are living a best
Have you
life.
had trolls?
Not really.
Well, you're good.
I don't think I give out troll
That vibe.
vibes.
Yeah, it's some trolls out there.
I think that I've always had, and I'm not perfect by any means, but I think I've always had very uplifting and empowering platforms. I've never, and I'm not very controversial. I mean, I have my opinions, but I'm not vocal on social media about them. I have friends I can talk to, so I don't have to put out, all that. But I do have strong opinions. So I have, not necessarily trolls, but I have had, controversial things that I've posted. Usually it's about interracial relationships, and the people be mad about it, but I'm standing on that 10 toes down. Like, I believe what I believe, and I believe in my black man.
Okay, go ahead. Power
To the black man.
And then the cancel culture. What do you think about that?
I don't want to be canceled.
I don't want to be canceled, but let me just tell you something. What it does show is that the youth today has some power. They have shut some folks down, businesses, people, whatever. Never seen anything like that before. So I'm just giving it all the love because, but I think that the cancel culture can go a little too far.
Yeah.
Because I think that people should have the right to have a little, like you and I both talked about the diversity of our thoughts about my daughter and dating and so forth. I think it's important to be able to have that without canceling somebody.
And also you can disagree without being a hater.
Thank you.
I think you can have a difference of opinion without you, hating on somebody. Yeah.
Before we close out, hip hop head or no?
Kind of, sort of.
Okay.
It's not trivia, is it?
Well, I just want to know top 5. And you from Shy, so.
Kanye's not going to be in my list.
What? Are you hating on Kanye?
I'm not hating on Kanye.
Kanye is okay. I'm not going to be biased. Okay.
Hip hop though, only hip hop.
Hip hop.
Who's your top 5?
Oh, here we go again. I don't want to tell you.
Come on, give me a couple of them.
Okay, Hove.
Okay. Yeah, none of these people are gonna be on.
Ye.
Okay.
Rakim.
Yep. No. Okay.
Wayne.
Okay.
And KRS-One. KRS-One way before your time, sis.
Yeah, a little bit before my time. Rakim was a little before my time too.
Yeah,
okay,
it was.
So I'm gonna go with Wayne.
Okay.
Does Drake count?
Oh, Drake is the beast. Yeah.
Okay. Wayne, Drake. I love old Nicki. Now, new Nicki.
I like Nicki too.
I like old Nicki, mixtape Nicki. 2 more. Yeah, J. Cole. And then last but not least, what was my last one? Last but not least, I'm gonna be mad at myself when I get in the car. I'm like, dang. Can I say Tupac?
You can, but I just want to know. I have one more. I know that Fonz is telling us we got to wrap up, but I don't understand how you can be from Shy and
I'm not Kanye.
Just explain that to me. Why? Why not Kanye?
I mean, it's nothing personal, but I like the 808s and Heartbreaks.
Okay, so you don't really vibe with him.
I'm not a super...
Is it a Kardashian situation?
No.
A little bit. Tell the truth.
No, it's
just
not.
A little.
It's not.
Okay,
it's
just
not.
making sure.
You know what though? If I'm being honest, and y'all don't judge me for this, but I'm not an album girl. I'm a single girl. I'm listening to the singles, like the radio hits. So I've never been like, I gotta download your album or go out and buy your album and listen from start to finish, except for like Wayne and Nicki and Drake. Other than that, like
You a Cash Money girl then?
I'm a Cash Money, no limit. Master P.
Yeah. Oh,
Master P.
You know Master P is not a lyricist now. Come on.
It don't matter.
I love P.
Listen, what he did, he was just like, just in his own lane.
He revolutionized the business of music.
And I respect that to the fullest.
Master P's formula is why we're sitting here today on a podcast that we fully own ourselves. We took the Master P formula.
Yep.
So we do have to
make the list.
Yeah, we gotta give him some. I don't even think Master P gets the list of when you talk about.
He don't get nothing.
He don't get none of his flowers.
Not even for business. Like people
That's
just
what
don't
I'm saying.
respect him. Yeah.
Because you think about Jay, you think about Diddy.
They all follow in his footsteps.
50, all of them. But they, Russell, because Russell was first. Okay, let's back it up. Russell. But I don't think that people really give P.
They don't. And I'm glad that I thought of him.
I'm glad you said something too. Well, Koereyelle, thank you so much, girl. I just enjoyed having you here today. We could talk about the wives stuff, right?
Yes.
So look, thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you and checking out your podcast too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right. We're out of here and see you next time on Coinology.
Worried about what everybody else got to say. If you constantly got your eyes on what everybody else